Are we good?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. What's up, everybody? Happy Thursday. Hope you all had a great New Year's Day. We'll start with some good news. The good news is college football. Sweet. Last couple days, I went 3-1 on New Year's Eve, 4-0 on New Year's Day. So 7-1 in college football in the last couple days. I did lose a couple live bets in there. If you're in the Discord, you saw it. I took Oregon plus 14.5 live, which was the right decision. Bad timing. If I waited one more Ohio State touchdown, I would have got a 22.5 or whatever it was. So it was the right decision that Oregon was eventually going to wake up. It was just poor timing, which I suppose in turn is the wrong decision. But right idea, wrong execution. So yeah, college football is going really well. That's the good news. The bad news is, man, I 0-3 in the NBA last night, and that includes two bets that I would say I liked. I thought the Hawks was a great look. Nets was just an incorrect bet. To be honest, I didn't even know quickly had a chance of coming back. I knew RJ Barrett and Grady Dick were on the injury report.
He didn't know, Kyle. You got screwed by the injury report yesterday. He didn't have a chance. Like, he wasn't even listed as questionable.
I thought so. Oh, okay.
So you know on second leg of back-to-backs, the coaches have extra time to submit their injury report. So they don't have to submit until after we had already did the show yesterday, which is when he got upgraded. Because we did the show.
Okay, that makes me feel better because I was questioning, like, shit, maybe my injury processes that I use aren't working this year.
You also got screwed on Jalen Johnson. He was downgraded to out after. He wasn't even listed as questionable, and then got downgraded to out. That's why I be putting these bets in so late, Kyle. Like, I know you wouldn't want them without Jalen Johnson yesterday. Like, no way.
Yeah, to be honest, yeah. All right, well, that makes me feel a little bit better because I thought, like, shit, maybe I'm, like, not being resourceful enough. I'm usually a pretty thorough person, but a lot of this is just unpredictable at the moment. And I don't mean the betting aspect of it. I mean, trying to predict who's going to be on the floor seems to be 90% of the battle, which honestly takes a lot of the fun out of it. But we have a few of those in today's slate as well. I don't have a single NBA bet open, honestly. I looked at them all. I don't know. This first one, I kind of want to go the Pacers, but I just lost the Pacers bet the other day. Not to mention, Miami looks pretty good. I think they're 4-1 straight up, 4-1 against the spread in their last 5. I would think this is a spot to play the Pacers. They're 5-1 straight up, 5-1 against the spread in their last 6 on the road. Their only loss being to Boston. So I think this would be a Pacers spot, but Miami's pretty healthy. They seem to be playing pretty well, so I'm not touching it, man. I don't know. It feels like guessing, and I hate when it feels like guessing.
I would agree with a lot of that, Kyle. When I did my show this morning, I said pretty much the same thing you said. I do like the rest advantage for Indiana here, but Miami on the second leg of a back-to-back, I wrote it in my notes. They're 4-2 straight up, 3-3 against the spread. So not much there outside of them, still being profitable on the second leg of a back-to-back. Indiana coming off the loss. I was on them the other day against Milwaukee as well, Kyle. I think that they were the right side. They had a 19-point lead in the third quarter. And then what happened was, I don't know if you watched the game. What happened was, and we got to give Glenn Rivers a little credit here. He ended up running a zone against the Pacers. They couldn't score the basketball. Like, they just kept chucking threes and not making any threes, which allowed the Bucks to be able to get out, run, and then be able to come back and set their defense. So if we know anything about Spoelstra, is that he loves zone. So I'm pretty sure he's going to employ the same strategy that the Pacers couldn't score against the other day. So with all of those things taken into consideration, Kyle, I feel like under is the right side here. I know the Heat don't score as many points on the second leg of a back-to-back. The Pacers defense off a loss is typically a little bit better. They got Nembhard back. So all of that tells me under. I think that's the way I would play it. I also think that the Pacers are the right side. I didn't play either, but I do think that they're the right side. I think that they win the game. Just don't have my money on it quite yet.
It's tough. I mean, Pacers defensive rating 18th in the last 10 games, 26th in the last 5 games. They're not really playing the best defense right now, but I do see that the Heat are playing at an extremely slow pace, and their offense seems to be trending in the wrong direction. So maybe I can get behind them.
I looked into Kyle the shot zones that we always talk about. Indiana, a lot of shots coming from mid range. I think there were last 5 games, they're second in frequency, 4th in accuracy. Heat top 10 defense and mid range defense specifically. Pacers playing fast. The Heat, they do a pretty good job of getting back in transition. The Heat don't play fast at all. I think they're 28th in pace last 5 games. So, yeah, all of those things, like I said, when I was matching it up, I did it live on my show. I was like, oh, looks like an under spot for sure, especially if, the Pacers continue to struggle against the zone because they can't shoot. They're not a great 3-point shooting team.
What about, all right, so maybe Miami team total under 113.5 at -106 here on FanDuel.
I can see that. I can definitely see that.
All right. So Heat team total under 113.5. All right, I might be down with that. Let's keep going, see if I can find something else. What's next? Celtics, Minnesota. There's a graphic in there. I didn't bet this prop. I kind of like Julius Randle to go over his scoring prop here, 19.5 points. Now, I know everyone wants to make fun of Julius Randle, but hear me out. Might be a decent matchup for him here. Not a prop guy. Let me preface by saying I'm not a prop guy, but Julius Randle has gone over this number 7 of his last 8 matchups against Boston, including 1 in the Minnesota Timberwolves jersey. So that's not only his days with the Knicks. He plays well against Boston. He scored. He's got, like I said, over his total 7 of his last 8 against Boston. Also, if you look at the Celtics defense, put a lot of pressure on the perimeter. They force their opponents inside to take mid-range jumpers, short mid-range jumpers, shots at the rim. If you look at the Timberwolves shot frequency from those zones, at the rim, Julius Randle's second on the team. From the paint, Julius Randle's first on the team. From the mid-range, Julius Randle's second on the team. So the 3 shot zones that Boston Celtics opponents usually frequent, Julius Randle towards the top of the team from each of them. So I like that. Also, what do the Celtics really struggle with defensively? Isolation. They're 29th in the NBA in points allowed per game to isolation. Julius Randle is second only to Anthony Edwards on the team in possessions per game out of isolation. So overall, I think it's a pretty solid matchup for Julius Randle. He does seem to play well against the Boston Celtics. I didn't bet this because I really don't know, man. I'm not trying to just lose money on the NBA looking for shit, but I do think Julius Randle gets his 20 here.
I would co-sign that, Kyle. Crazy enough. I think I played it the last time that they played earlier this season when he was on the Timberwolves. When he was on the Timberwolves and they played in Boston. And you mentioned it. It's like what you said. Boston Celtics, they do a pretty good job on the full season and over the last 5 games of limiting teams from shooting the 3-point shot. And Julius Randle typically gets like a matchup with like Tatum or something, which he's a little bit stronger than Tatum, a little bit more. I get probably weighs a few more pounds as well. And to your point, I'm just looking at it right now over on Outlier. I think the Boston Celtics are allowing the 4th most points to the power forward position this season. So that makes a ton of sense to me. I talked about liking Julius Randle, over his points prop on my show earlier today. He's also been going up and over his assists. Yeah, I did. If you go back and listen
to
my
crazy.
Show, I
didn't watch the show.
Bet it, but yeah, I did bet it. I didn't bet it, but I like him in this spot as well. As far as the side and total goes, Kyle, like, man, I do think that Boston is a little bit better than this version of the Minnesota Timberwolves. Last year when they came into Minnesota, they did lose the game outright. Minnesota was getting, I think, 4 points as a home dog, so very similar to the line today. And I think the game ended up going to overtime. Anthony Edwards was like pounding his chest and like talking stuff to Tatum. And they ended up winning the game outright. But Minnesota's actually covered 4 straight games. So for whatever reason, when they see Boston on the other side, like they just play a really good brand of basketball. And even to their credit, in the last game against OKC, they had a double-digit lead in that game. Like I ended up taking OKC plus 1.5 at halftime. They ended up coming back and covering the spread and all that. But why so? Because Minnesota turns the ball over a lot. They're bottom 5 in protecting the ball last 5 games. We know OKC is the number 1 in turnover rate. However, Boston Celtics, as good as they are defensively, they don't turn teams over. They don't turn teams over at all. So that kind of scares me a little bit. When I look at Boston off a win, Kyle, the Boston Celtics are 1-10 against the spread when they're coming off a game that they covered in the last one. So I mean, they just haven't really put it together. I think that they are 2 possessions better than the Minnesota Timberwolves. So I would take Boston in this spot, but I didn't play it.
Prop Ever said he was considering the Celtics also earlier today. He was talking about it. Ski is in the comments. Ski, I thought you had a show at 3. I'll send Ski an invite right now. I thought you had a show at 3.
It's at 4, I think.
No, but I think on Thursdays and Fridays he does it at 3, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh,
I'll send Ski an invite right now. I didn't realize he was available.
Come on, Ski. Come on, Ski.
You know, Ski's always down to talk Julius Randle ball.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, perfect segment for him too. We can come back. He can get his thoughts on Julius Randle. He was in the comments on my show this morning too.
All right, I just sent him a link. We'll see if he's able to jump on. But yeah, Julius Randle. I'm gonna put it down on the list. I might bet this now.
Yeah, just go light, Kyle. They don't gotta go help.
What are the chances? What are the chances? Because I didn't watch your show this morning. I literally arrived at this on my own, looking at my own spreadsheets. What are the chances that we
That's
both?
when they cash.
That's crazy.
That's when they cash, guy.
All right, let's move on to the next game. Hey, Prop Beaver's on.
Yeah.
Okay. And next game up is Clippers Thunder. Oh, Prop Beaver's mad about this one.
No, I'm not mad. Well, yes, I am a little mad about this one. I'm more mad that I have to now set up a 4-person template because you're just inviting people in the middle of the show.
Well, I think Ski will come on for just 3 of us.
1 second.
I didn't know you were staying on for that long.
No. Okay. So.
So it's laughing so hard in the background.
No. 1 second. Now you got me all flustered.
Ski's not in, so don't even worry about it.
All right. So what is your pick for this game?
So Oklahoma City Clippers, I mean, this is kind of just a pass for me. If the Clippers play good defense, it's tough to lay a big number to a team like that. That being said, they struggle to protect the basketball, and Oklahoma City rips turnovers at a really high rate, and it's really tough to find an angle for the Clippers competing in this game. The Clippers actually lead the NBA in isolation frequency, a lot of ISO possessions. Oklahoma City elite defensively against isolation. I don't know where the points are coming from the Clippers, especially since James Harden may not even play. And then that just throws a whole wrench into things, because if James Harden doesn't play, what kind of game are we even expecting from the Clippers? You take a player with a high usage rate out of the lineup, especially one where we haven't seen the Clippers play many basketball games this year without Harden. So when you take a high usage rate player out of the lineup, the type of game and the type of pace and the type of basketball that we're going to see, it becomes questionable, because sometimes, I mean, you take a high usage player out, sometimes your coach is like, all right, guys, you know what? We're running a lot of fast breaks, a lot of script. They might change the whole strategy up with a guy like that. So this is a straight pass for me. It's up to 11 now. Prop Beaver has a rebounding prop if he's ready, or do you want Chris to go first?
Yeah, Chris, go first.
All right, cool. I agree with a lot of what you said, Kyle. I had played and given out James Harden under his 20.5 points because of how elite OKC has been on the defensive end, specifically against those pick and roll ball handlers. And James Harden is under in 4 straight games against, I think it's 4 straight games against Oklahoma City, including the game that they played earlier this year. But I don't think that's going to matter. If he does play, I still love it. It's under 20.5 for his points prop. Looking at the advanced numbers with him on the floor versus off the floor this year, Kyle, it's been only 504 possessions with him off the floor. They're minus 1.89 in point differential. Not a lot changes. Their offense drops about 4 points per 100 possessions. Their defense gets 1 point better in point differential. So not a lot to go through there. But I think the thing that sticks out to me is how good OKC is defensively, specifically against what the Clippers like to do. So that would only lead me to a team total under. I know it's super low at 102.5. But I think that if Harden doesn't play, like, I really find it difficult to think that the Clippers are going to be able to generate enough offense. The Thunder, not just the best defensive rated team on the full season, but also last 5 games, 103.1 is what they're giving up per 100 possessions. So 102.5 is the team total. I would probably be looking towards the under if Harden doesn't play.
I was looking at that, but aren't you a little worried about what kept me off that was, okay, what if no Harden means the Clippers are going to come out and run a really fast pace? I don't know if no Harden means...
With who at point guard? I would think that they would try to limit the game as much as possible. I mean, that's what Minnesota did before they started turning the ball over in the third quarter last game and they got blew out.
I mean, you're probably right. It's just, there's a lot of uncertainty. I don't know. I don't want to touch it personally.
Bones Howland out there dropping 15 points off in the starting rotation.
Yeah, Bones Highland. That's a good one. I believe he leads the team in. I'm sorry, is the worst on the team. I think he has a minus like 6.8, like plus minus. He's the worst on the team, Bones Highland. Prop Beaver, you have a prop that you no longer like because of the injury,
No,
right?
no, I don't like the prop anymore. But I guess we'll talk about it. I got Zubac over 12.5 rebounds. I played this 10 minutes before the stripper merchant decided he was going to sit tonight, so that's great.
Well, I don't think it's confirmed that he's sitting.
I mean, why would he just all of a sudden be listed questionable? The sport's a fucking wreck with the injuries, so happy to be back. Just really love it. Yeah, so, I mean, why would this be a great matchup? Well, I mean, Zubac's fantastic on the road. I believe he's 11-4 to the mark on the road this year compared to 3-11 at home. And then you got a OKC team that I believe allows the 8th most rebounds per game to centers. We know that Isaiah Hartenstein, obviously somebody that allows a lot more rebounds per game than the small ball centers they were rolling out there. But still, I think if anything, it's going to keep Zubac closer to the rim. He already had 12 and 14 against them with the small ball centers in there that they played earlier this season. So, yeah, I liked 12.5. I don't like it anymore. Already got screwed by 2 injuries last night. Really not happy that I'm probably about to get screwed by a third.
All right. Let's move on to the next game. Also, want to switch it over to the 3-person template with Ski on?
Yes.
Cool. All right, Ski is in the background, so we'll get him on. Next up is Brooklyn, Milwaukee. I thought about laying it here. Nets, obviously, as you guys know, I took a loss on the Nets last night. Emmanuel quickly ruled in after being being out for a while. Didn't know that there was a chance he was going to play. Toronto was the right side, pretty much start to finish. The Nets were competitive for a while, but it never really. I felt like the bet was a loser from the second quarter on, even though it was competitive for a while. Bucks have been playing some good defense. I think the Bucks blow them out here. There's no way in hell I'm actually going to bet it, though. So for me, it's Bucks or pass, but I got nothing. I'm really struggling looking at the games today to find anything. So Ski, Chris, and either of you guys want to talk about this wonderful game here?
Ski, you got it.
What's up with y'all? I'll say, why can't the Nets compete in this game? The Bucks, their defensive rating lately has been good, but I'm not impressed with a couple of games like the opposition that they played. I'm looking at the Nets, like D'Angelo Russell and Cam Thomas. That backcourt can put up points versus anybody, and they're facing the Bucks perimeter defense that is not good. So I think the Nets will be able to score. I also think as long as Giannis plays, it's not, the most paint protection for the Nets there. I think he can score too. If I'm playing this game, I agree with the market. It's pushed it up. Earlier, I still saw 220.5. It's pretty much 221.5 everywhere. I think it's moving in the right direction for the over.
So an over in this one. Yeah, with that backcourt, they should be able to shoot threes. And the Bucks perimeter defense, you look at the last 10 games, 26th frequency, 22nd efficiency above the break. So it should be some 3-point opportunities for the Nets. Chris?
Agree with Ski. I talked about that one this morning on my show. I didn't even play it. I put it on the short list. Maybe a little isolation to the Timberwolves, the Milwaukee Bucks up and over their team total. It's 116.5. I mean, they gave up 130 to the Raptors last night, and they're playing on the second leg of a back-to-back. Why can't? Who's stopping the Bucks from getting to 116.5? If you look at the Timberwolves, I keep calling them Timberwolves. If you look at Milwaukee last 5 games, offensively, they're averaging just 111 points per game. But Giannis has only played in like 1 of those. Dame has only played in like 2 of those. So with the full band back together, I think that they could, score. They've been double-digit home favorites twice this season. Once against Utah, they scored 123 points. Once against the Wizards, they scored 124 points. Brooklyn, second leg of a back-to-back with the travel from Toronto, not expecting them to play too much defense. Not only does Brooklyn now have D'Angelo Russell, newly acquired D'Angelo Russell, but this will be the first time that D'Angelo Russell has played with Cam Thomas, Cam Johnson, all together. So I think we see a little bit faster pace. D'Lo is a negative defensive player, but a great offensive player. I think we saw that yesterday. He had 22 points in the first game that he played with them. And I think he had like 6 or 7 assists as well. So yeah, I think, looking at the numbers as well, Milwaukee shoots a ton of threes, the 13th in frequency last 5 games, 4th in accuracy. Brooklyn, worst 3-point defense last 5 games, allowing teams to shoot 42% from the 3-point line. So I'm agreeing with Ski. I think up and over for the full game total. I don't even think it's too late, honestly. because I think Brooklyn totals are a tad bit too low because we haven't seen D'Lo, Cam, and Cam to play together yet. I think they're just gonna be gunning. No defense, really fast-paced game. No Milwaukee's not playing super fast, but I think they can push pace because Brooklyn's not a great transition defense. So either team total up and over, which I haven't played yet for Milwaukee, or full game over, like Ski said.
I like the team total over. I'm gonna. It's kind of tailing what both of you guys said. I'm gonna bet that one over 116.5. I agree with what both of you guys said. A little worried that the Nets are the slowest paced team in the NBA, but I still think the Bucks definitely get over. It's not like 116.5 is a crazy high.
Slowest pace. How long? Like the full season or what?
According to my sheet, all three full season, last 10, last 5.
That's not what Cam out there, D'Lo.
Exactly. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's
how you give up 130
all the data,
to the Raptors, right?
Right. This the new Nets, the new look Nets. I get it.
The new look Nets. Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to the next one. We got Philly, Golden State. Chris, you got your Sixers bet last night, right?
I did. Yeah, I did. +6.5, +7. Barely though. Boy, you talking about? I fell asleep with 5 minutes left. I said, "Oh, they're gonna win outright." I wake up like 5 minutes after the game go off, and they lost the game by 6 points.
Yeah, you almost missed
that.
They
finished on a 15-0 run. Like, what are we doing here?
Well,
but yeah,
you were down big early, or maybe you were up big early, then it flipped. At one point, it was looking bad, and then it was looking great. To be honest, I didn't see the end of the game. I didn't even know they almost lost. I just assumed it was a win for you because they were up pretty comfortably there.
Yeah, they outscored by 15.
There's some injury.
15-0 run.
15-0. There's some injury question marks in this one that make it really difficult. Joel Embiid questionable, Kelly Oubre questionable on the Philadelphia side, Steph Curry questionable on Golden State, Kyle Anderson also questionable. But is Kyle Anderson still seeing limited minutes? I mean, let me see. Yeah, I mean, he's got a bunch of DMPs here, and he's not even seeing substantial minutes. I thought that was a great pickup for them, and they haven't really used him much. So to be honest, I kind of wanted to play Golden State here, but that team has been so bad. I don't know how you could lay. So you could put Golden State up for me, but I can't. I mean, they've been so bad, and Steph Curry might not even play. To be honest, you know what I could do? If Steph is ruled out and I could get a Golden State +2 or something. Now, I know a 5-point swing is insane, but if something along those lines happens, I could see myself getting down with a few dollars on Golden State, but I'm really not very interested in it. You guys have anything here?
I'll just say I agree with you. I want to look towards Warriors, but I haven't really liked what I'm seeing from them. I think they got to find themselves again before I put my hard-earned money. It is a good spot. Second of a back-to-back for the Sixers, third and fourth and sixth. Meanwhile, Warriors haven't played since New Year's Eve. So it's a Warrior spot, but I just have trouble putting my money. I'll share this. I know y'all already talked about the game, but just to give you guys something to play, Jaylen Brown over 22.5 points. They were dogging him on the broadcast last time, and he saw it. He responded on Twitter, and he's cleared this 4 of his last 5 games, I think. He's cleared it all 9 times he's played the Timberwolves. So for whatever reason, if he got family there, a girlfriend there, something there, he shows up every time he plays Minnesota. So I like Jaylen Brown over 22.5 points.
There's also a couple injury question marks for Boston on that one. So, I mean, I see. Never mind. Jaylen Brown's actually one of them, and Porzingis. I thought it was Tatum and Porzingis for some reason. But all right. Chris, did you talk about the Warriors game?
Nah, but I don't really got anything. You mentioned it. Like, I'm not playing the game without knowing the status. Do we even know if Paul George is going to play on the second leg of a back-to-back? He played 36 minutes yesterday. Like, this game's all over the place. I'm not playing it.
I think Golden State's going to win.
I kind of do think I kind of do agree with you and Ski. Kind of want to see it with Golden State too, because I've been thinking about Golden State like this recently. Like they've been really, really good for such a long time. Maybe it's the end for Golden State. Like maybe they just don't got it anymore. Like I don't know. I just kind of like if you've been somebody that's been blindly fading them, you made a lot of money recently because they had that really, really. They're still in the gauntlet of a schedule. If you go back and look at like their last 10, 15 games, it's been like tough opponent after tough opponent after tough opponent. And you just like, you're losing like value because they're still priced as if they're the real good Golden State Warriors, and they're not. Offensively, they're the worst rated offensive team. Like, this makes me want to cry. You know, I grew up on Steph Curry. I was watching before Steph, and now to see it, like, they're the worst 3-point shooting team. How? We don't know a Warriors team that's the worst 3-point shooting team in the NBA. So it kind of feels like, you know, like it's over for the Warriors. Maybe I'm wrong, but recently 3-7 straight up and against the spread, they can't get $1 of my money.
Yeah, no, I agree. I was started suspecting that it was over when they lost the playoff series to the Lakers 2 years ago, because it's not like that Lakers team was some powerhouse that they ran into. That was like a very winnable series, and then
Hey.
I wasn't trashing the Lakers. I'm just saying the Warriors. If the Warriors were still around, they don't lose that series. Maybe they lose to like a powerhouse team along the way, but they don't lose that series. Maybe they would have lost to that Denver team. But then last year, I mean, they were in the play-in, got blown out by the Kings. I feel like when that series, when LeBron and that Lakers team beat Golden State, that might have been the end of this
mojo from him, Kyle.
Yeah.
Now you got Steph talking about retirement. Draymond got more gray in his beard than Santa Claus. This gets kind of bad out in Golden State.
All right, let's go on to the last game, and I think Prop Beaver has a prop on this one.
I now don't like this one either.
You don't like this prop anymore?
Anthony
either?
Davis just got ruled doubtful 1 second ago.
Anthony Davis? Oh my
God. Just got ruled doubtful.
What the fuck, bro?
Minutes ago.
This shit is like stupid now.
Well, I did nothing for the game anyway. Is the line moving? Oh, it's down to 7.5. It looks like. Jesus Christ! So it's. I mean, the rest of the lake. Well, Gabe Vincent is also questionable. I have nothing, man. I'm not even gonna like try to sit here and ramble about something. I have no idea what to bet in this game. You guys have anything?
Yeah, that kind of just irritated me too, because that's a lot of easy assists that's not going to be had tonight.
Yep. Yeah, you have Austin Reeves over assists? Yeah.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yep.
You have the same thing?
It's just fucking stupid, man.
Wait, hold on. All three of you have Austin Reeves
because,
assists?
I mean, it was free as air if Anthony Davis was playing. Just fucking stupid. Yeah, I mean, the guy, his last 3 games has been just a cash cow in terms of the assists. 10, 16, 10 assists. His potential assists have been out of this world. The 2 games with LeBron, 13 and 17 assists, 12 and 13 adjusted assists. So the opportunities have been just insane. Now we're going to play a Portland team that can't defend the rim. I think it's 51% of his assists go to the rim, which is just a absurd percent. Most of those obviously go to AD. Now the guy's not playing. It's just dumb. It's just fucking dumb. On top of that, it went from 6.5 to 7.5 assists. I already put a unit and a half on it last night. I'm just not going to recommend you guys to play an assist line that's an assist higher and at a worse number. So pass. God.
Yeah, someone said, Kyle, you went live early today. Yeah, because a large percentage of the people that watch the show are big college football people, and Georgia, Notre Dame's at 4. No one's going to be watching us talk about the NBA when Notre Dame Georgia's on. So this is why people can watch. So yeah, do you know what I found about, because obviously, as you guys know, I'm not really big into the prop market. Not that I don't like them. I just don't spend a lot of time looking into them. And I noticed that there's times where if I feel like everyone's on the same prop. So I feel like that happens a lot for some reason in the prop community. So all 3 of you were on Austin Reeves assists.
What are you insisting there, huh? I posted my shit at 11:30 last night.
I wasn't saying
this is a fucking, what do you think
I wasn't
this is,
saying
huh?
people were copying people. I just said that I noticed that a lot. Okay. Where like everyone must be using the same stats. That's what I meant. I didn't mean people were copying people.
Everybody's seeing the game the same way. Go ahead, Ski.
I played the 10 plus assist last game. I cashed plus 775, and yes, absolutely, it hurts that we don't have Anthony Davis tonight. But why can we still win? Because there's not that many people who are going to be playmaking for the Lakers. You lost D'Angelo Russell. A lot of the playmaking responsibility goes to Reeves, and could be minus another guard in Gabe Vincent. Without D'Lo, he averages like really close, if not 9 assists. Going back to last season. This season, we've seen him without D'Lo 2 times. He's had 10 plus assists. So he's still going to play a lot of minutes because they need somebody to play make for the team. And 7 assists, it's still doable. I know probably said it might have gone up by now, but yes, it's going to hurt, but I still think it can hit.
Steez is in the comments saying LeBron triple-double tonight. Chris?
But the Lakers are going to cover.
I don't have anything else to add. They already went through it. We talked about this the other day. So, Cal, remember when we did your show when the Lakers were playing against Cleveland, and I was like, Ski was like, he was like, is that Ski in the comments? And he was like, D'Angelo Russell. He was like, Austin Reeves.
Oh yeah.
Remember?
Yep.
Yeah, it was 5.5. He laddered him to 10 and hit a plus 775.
That's it.
And I talked about liking it on my show, but I didn't play it. I played the points, rebounds, and assists to go over. He's been crushing that too. And I'm with Ski though. I know probably a little emotional over there, a little sad because AD got downgraded. Probably it's okay. He's still gonna get a 7 assists tonight. I already played it too. I bet it already.
Who's he passing to? Jared Vanderbilt? Who the fuck are we passing the ball
No,
to?
Jared Vanderbilt not playing
He's
either.
out.
But he'll give it to Bron. You know.
All right.
Also,
Bron, kick it out to Christie for 3, Rui for 3. We'll get
Also,
Don't
going.
connect.
that was such a-
we gonna get there.
All I'm saying is, I'm in the cold to cold streaks in the NFL. I come to the NBA, and this injury wave is fucking hell. This is hell. What type of sport is this?
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
It
Alright.
absolutely is. Probably bets
Alright.
got to be placed at least 5 minutes or less before the game. Ski taught me that.
All right.
I don't understand why you had to take a shot at Vanderbilt, though. He's a fine player. All right, let's talk about college football. We'll have both of
Can
these
I
guys.
ask you one question real quick?
Yeah.
Both of you and Chris. Why not rebounds and assists also for Randall? Why only points? I mean, they're playing up tempo. He's pushing the ball. He's like a point forward. He's racking up assists now. He's playing good with the second unit. Why not rebounds and assists too?
I'll tell you why not.
Just take his whole PRA.
Or, I mean, I was just looking at rebounds and assists. I took that last game
Well,
at cash. He's hit it 5 of his last 6 games.
So you're starting to believe in Julius.
I like
He started
him
believing
playing
his
with
role.
that second unit.
I was gonna
I
say
like that
his
role.
role. Chris Finch did mention that. He mentioned it like 4 games, and I said I'm gonna put it on my short list. I think the only game he didn't hit the assist line straight was 4. It was set at 4.5. The game against OKC, and he had I think he had 4. Or it might have been the game before that against San Antonio. He had 4, I think. So he did go under, but that was just on the assists and not the rebounds as well. So yeah, we know he's gonna get the boards. Like he's gonna be down there. I think it's a good look. I like your plays, Cal, with just the points. I like Ski's play with the rebounds and assists. I think it's cool. I think it's a good play.
Yeah, if Porzingis doesn't play, it certainly helps. And about the NBA, because a lot of people, because based on what we just said, are trashing it in the comments. I completely get how it's not efficient. Just real quick, I completely get how it's not efficient to play your star players 82 games. Makes complete sense, and I'm on board with that because I mean, in Major League Baseball, your best pitcher used to pitch every other day in the 50s, and then people were like, "This is stupid. This is not efficient. This does not help us win a World Series." So I'm on board with okay, it's not smart to do that, but where they need to change is not so much force these players to play 82 games. You just let everyone know who's playing in advance. We should know today who's playing tomorrow. And if someone's sitting, we should know. And honestly, I think that solves a lot of it because a lot of people are trying to bet the game, make predictions, go to the games. And I feel like if you know, then it takes a lot of it. It's all the questionables that are like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? Like, I feel like if they just let us know, like for tomorrow night's games, we should be able to see who's resting. And I feel like that solves a lot of the problems because, it is crazy. It's an 82-game season. Regular season games don't mean a ton. It's not smart to have your best players play 82 games. So you're just not going to win championships like that. Just the same as it's not smart to throw your best starting pitcher in the MLB out there 3 times a week. It's just not smart. So I get it, why it's moving this way. You just got to tell us. That's would be my take on that. But all right.
Stop keeping secrets. I like it, Kyle.
Let's talk some college football. Both these guys will be back tomorrow. Hopefully we can find some better stuff tomorrow night on Friday night. So, guys, talk to you later.
Good
Best of
luck.
luck. Appreciate you.
Later. Duke, Ole Miss. Someone was asking about the Sugar Bowl before. I have a video. I have 2 videos out there handicapping the Sugar Bowl, and we talked about it on yesterday's show. So I felt like if we did it again, like how many times we're going to go through the same game? We've done it like 3 times already. So just click on another video. We've talked about the Sugar Bowl a lot.
Yeah, we talked about this yesterday. A couple things I didn't get to, if you want to know. Rudy is a terrible movie. It's one of the worst movies ever made. Sean Astin is a treasure, but Rudy's he was offside, first of all. But listen, I pretty much sum it down to Notre Dame. Riley Leonard has more touchdowns in his career than Stockton has thrown passes. So you may say he's good. You don't know. And if you do know, unless you're part of Georgia's athletic department, I really don't believe you that you know what Gunnar Stockton looks like. So Yeah, I have a bunch more to say. I'm not going to. Notre Dame up -7 alt line.
Someone said if a family spends hundreds of dollars to see a game and find out the best player is sitting, that's BS. How is that different than spending hundreds of dollars to go see the Yankees play and find out
Garrett Cole gets scratched?
Yeah, find out Clark Schmidt is pitching instead of Garrett Cole. I mean, that's sports, man. Like, the idea that that these players are going to play 82 games when it doesn't help them win the championship and no one gives a fuck about anything. It's ring or nothing. That's the culture set that up. When you buy tickets to the NBA game, it's the same as when you buy tickets to a baseball game. You hope you're going to see the best pitcher, but you might not. That's the nature of the sport.
I think what you're really dead right about is just the transparency of it, and I guess the timeline of it, because it's just what's annoying about it, and this should be the last thing about it, is just when you're getting the update 4 hours before the game that the guy's out, and the entire previous 12 to 24 hours there was no tag on them. That's just insane.
That is insane.
And really quick, I should have won that under on the Texas game. Kickers aren't people. I don't think they should be in football. Let's just abolish kicking altogether.
The over was never in doubt. Never in doubt. And real quick about Scoop's ridiculous take on Rudy. Obviously, it's a good movie. I do disagree with the messaging of it, though. Like, if you try really hard, just give it all you got, sacrifice everything to accomplish this goal, eventually people will feel bad for you and give it to you. People will give you something out of pity. Is not inspiring, but it's a good movie. To try to act like that's a bad movie is stupid. Duke, Ole Miss in the Gator Bowl. Over. I got 51.5. No, I mean, look, taking it over with Duke's offense with a backup quarterback, possibly even the third string quarterback. It's at 50.5 now, by the way. Market disagrees with me. I don't care. How motivated is Ole Miss for this game? The whole they got snubbed out of the playoffs. I don't think there's a graphic for that one. Did you put over 50.5? The whole got snubbed out of the playoffs. I don't know how much they actually give a shit. And even if they did give a shit, how much would beating Duke, we beat Duke, showed you? Yeah, no shit. I hope you beat Duke. I don't really think they care much. That being said, there's just too much talent on the Ole Miss side. Even with Duke's full-strength defense out there, Ole Miss should be able to score extremely easily. Duke's defense, as good as it was this year, they played 3 games all season against top 25 offenses. 3. In those games, they allowed 35 points per game, 6.4 yards per play or some shit. So this great Duke defense really racked up a lot of awesome numbers against some bad ACC opponents. The 3 times they saw great offenses, SMU, Georgia Tech, Miami, they got lit up in all 3. I would take Ole Miss offense before any of those 3. And by the way, this is an Ole Miss offense that should be basically at full strength here. I think Trey Harris is going to play, which is crazy. Give some props to the bowl season, because not only have these games been excellent for the most part, but also for the most part, these kids are playing. I mean, we're basically seeing Duke, Ole Miss, full strength right here. Ole Miss is missing one of their corners. Duke is missing their running back and their quarterback, which obviously are 2 key positions. But if you take the starting 22 on both sides, that's 44 players. We got 40 or 41 of them. So, I mean, we're basically seeing these teams at full strength. Ole Miss is going to score on Duke's defense. I don't care how good you think Duke's defense is. Ole Miss can definitely score on them. And on the other side, the thing with Ole Miss is defensively, all year, they're extremely tough up front. They can shut down the run. They can pressure the passer. Secondary is a little vulnerable. We've seen it a few times where teams are able to throw the ball on Ole Miss. The map to scoring points on Ole Miss is pretty simple. Give your quarterback time, and he's going to have opportunities to make throws. Now, you might think, well, Duke's not going to have time. It's a backup quarterback. Well, actually, the strength of this Duke offense, everyone thinks it's Malik Murphy, and it probably was, but they actually are great pass protection. That offensive line has been really good. They're towards the top of the in the country in pressure rate allowed, sack rate allowed. This is a good offensive line in terms of pass protection. So this kid, this backup quarterback, look, as long as he's going to have opportunities to make throws, and I think he's going to make a couple of them. I do think Ole Miss probably covers this number, but I'm going to say final score 40-17 Ole Miss.
Yeah, I'll take that. This spread has been all over the place. It was from 12.5 earlier today. You could have even got 14.5. Now there's 17s. I got Ole Miss at -14. I would still lean it. I would still take Ole Miss with 17. Obviously, the biggest thing here is, I mean, Kyle said it. Malik Murphy's out. Grayson Loftus, his backup's out, so that leaves Henry Boleyn the fourth starting. Like I said about Georgia's quarterback, now if you really say anything about him, I think you're definitely joking. He's thrown one pass this year.
Yeah, but did you see his only career start?
That was like Lafayette, right? Like last year.
NC State, he went 4 of 12.
Yeah.
Hold on. He went
12.
4 of 12. One of those 4 was a 70-yard touchdown, and they beat NC State 24-3 in that game. He's a winner. He's never lost a game as a starting quarterback, Scoop.
I think he played in FCS school last year, too. Other than that,
I'm
really
fact-checking that.
Okay. And even though he's a sophomore, he probably won't be starting next year since Darian Mensah's from Tulane got $8 million, which is wild to play for Duke. But as much as I talked some smack about Malik Murphy, since the first 2 weeks, he was balling out for Duke. So, yeah, it's definitely a step back here. But Jackson Dart hasn't been great this year. He didn't opt out. He's playing this game, like Kyle said. Good for him. I think they're only missing their starting safety. But yeah, Ole Miss is definitely more than capable of moving the ball. The Duke's defense is pretty solid. They were a top 20 defense all year, but that's an ACC defense. I'm not really extremely comfortable letting 17 now. You saw what can happen in these games. Look at Michigan, Alabama, which didn't really go the way I saw. That looked like a preseason game. And really, it's hard to put stock in an ACC team right now. They're 0-10 in bowl games and 1-9 against the spread. So the ACC just looks outmatched in every single game. This is a really fast-paced Ole Miss team. I see them scoring a bunch here, like Kyle said, regardless of Duke's defense. I know Ole Miss had a dominant pass rush all season. They may get Boleyn a little rattled. I do see Kyle's point about motivation, but Duke really hasn't played dominant offenses, though. They got rocked by Miami, who had a great offense. Ole Miss has the capability of doing the same. If Duke had a shot in this game, it would be Star Thomas, but he's not. He transferred, right? UCF now or something?
Yeah, he's not.
Or he's going to see UCF. So, yeah, I don't see. He was the best player on their offense. I'm not in love with this bet. Bowl season's unpredictable, but I think Ole Miss would just rock them, like you said, like 40-17 or something like that.
40-17 sounds good. All right, we're gonna do college basketball. Toast, is your heater over, bro?
It was the
you had a losing day, right?
Like.
Yesterday was proof that you cannot win when it comes to sports betting content on YouTube. Toast has been on a rampage. He's up like 20 units in the last 15 days or even better than that. It's like 18 units in 9 days or something. He had a losing day, and someone commented in all caps, Sky Toast sucks.
I really agree. Yeah, I went 4-1, so you knew Toast had a bad day.
It's true.
Like it doesn't matter. You can win 9 games. You can win 100 bets in a row. If you lose 101, someone's like, I'm up so much fading this guy. Like, where do these people come from?
One of them lost in overtime. It doesn't even matter. You know what? I don't even care.
The Butler one, they blew a 13-point lead.
I was gonna say I don't even want to talk about fucking Butler. I just like that was so bad. Like so bad.
Modest sucks.
I had +2.5. It closed -1.5 in some spots. I had like an 11-point lead with 5 minutes to go. I mean, you literally couldn't have asked for a better spot. That's what I get for trusting Dad Matta.
That was it was the only loss I had was the over. That's when they didn't score for the last 6 minutes. That was great.
We don't have this one queued up, but someone said, what does Toast think about the Memphis line? He's on Memphis. I know that because my friend texted me and said, who does Toast like in the Memphis game? And I texted him back, Memphis. So I know for a fact he's on Memphis because I went and looked.
Yeah, I'll just go. I'll tell why I like Memphis really quickly. First and foremost, I don't really trust this FAU team. I still think they're going off of name recognition, and not to mention the fact that FAU usually plays a certain style of defense that's given Memphis troubles over the last couple of years, especially after that game in the NCAA tournament, which we saw FAU go to the Final Four. That's not what FAU can do this year, and they've been getting absolutely eaten alive by teams that can play you off the dribble, and that's exactly what Memphis is going to do, not to mention the fact that Memphis has played, I think, one of the hardest schedules in the country. I think there's 7 or 8 in the country. So this is a pretty big step down in class for them. Albeit a rivalry, I'll take my chances with Memphis. The only reason that you can not like Memphis is you can say that they're a team, well, Penny as a favorite, which it is what it is, and then they maybe they lay an egg after playing Mississippi and having a big win against them. But I don't really know about all that, but we'll see.
All right. So first up is Northwestern, Penn State. I'm all ears. Don't have much action tonight, so I'm open to suggestions. I'm listening.
Scoop, did you bet this or no?
Yeah.
So
we're gonna get into full-time conference games finally. Now Kyle can start paying attention to college basketball.
Now it matters.
I think the Big Ten is pretty wide open this year. I don't see any completely dominant team like a Purdue last year. All these teams are pretty decent. It's a great conference. I like this Northwestern team. They should be 2-0 in the Big Ten going into this one. That Iowa game, they should have won last month. They let that get away. They did cover that game on the road as a Big Ten team. But the thing with Northwestern is they were battling some injuries earlier in this year. They're back to a full-strength squad now. I think Martinelli and Barnheiser can really give Penn State some problems, especially defensively. Northwestern's only allowed 63 points per game. They held their last 3 to 64 or fewer. Given they've been with lesser quality opponents, obviously, but I think Northwestern is a better defensive team here, and Northwestern has had the tougher schedule so far. Penn State has played two quality opponents in Rutgers and Clemson. They lost both of them by more than a possession. I know the The paces are completely different here. Penn State's going to try to push the pace, but against a quality defense, I think they're going to struggle here. Northwestern isn't going to get into a shootout with Penn State. I know Penn State tries to turn the ball over. They do it well. But Northwestern is one of the best in taking care of the ball offensively, and it's going to frustrate Penn State a bit to not play fast like the way they want to. Plus, if you watch Penn State the last week and a half, those 3 games against Coppin State, well, Coppin State was okay, but Drexel, Penn, they didn't look great. Offensively, they really shot like shit. So I do like Northwestern here to cover the number. I think they have a chance to win this game, personally.
I really couldn't agree more with what Scoop said. Just to put some numbers, I felt like I really wanted the 5.5, so I feel like I didn't bet this because I wanted the number. But to Scoop's point about the strength of schedule, Northwestern coming in at number 95 in the country, coming off games like Scoop mentioned, Iowa, Illinois, Georgia Tech, DePaul, Northeastern. Obviously, you can poke holes in those teams, but Penn State coming in with a strength of schedule of 338, coming in playing teams like Coppin State, Drexel, Penn, Purdue, and Rutgers. But at the same time, as we talk about those teams, like, is Purdue a team that you can really trust right now? Have they looked really great? Not really. And Rutgers definitely has their holes. They're definitely not the same team that we know and love. I feel like this is kind of too many points. Also, the fact that I thought that Northwestern beat Penn State last year 2 times in a row, which I think that's huge. That's going to give them some confidence here today. And the one thing that Penn State struggles with this year, especially looking at games against Purdue, Fort Wayne, and I can't remember the other one, but teams that don't turn the ball over, and Northwestern's a team that's not going to turn the ball over at all. 5th in the country in turnover percentage. So again, I think that the formula here is don't turn the ball over against Penn State, run through a half-court offense, slow this game down a little bit. And I think that's what Northwestern can do. They definitely have the horses. And I 100% agree with Scoop. Now that Northwestern's healthy, I think you have to start capping their games just a little bit differently. So again, I made this game Penn State -2, so there's nothing like crazy there, but it would be definitely Northwestern or pass for me. There are so many other spots on the board. That's the only reason I didn't bet this game. Okay, is it just me and Scoop? Okay, sorry. I didn't know if Kyle was going to come in the middle.
Man, I ain't got nothing to say.
No, I know, but I just didn't know if you're hosting. Purdue, Minnesota. I know Scoop hasn't bet on this game. It's a pass for me, so I guess you can take it away, Scoop. I don't know if I agree.
It's a reluctant bet. It's hard to trust Purdue this year. I think the number is just too low. Purdue's definitely not the same team, obviously. They don't have the size. If they're not shooting well, they don't have much else. But they're also playing a Minnesota team that already lost to North Texas, Indiana by 15. They struggled against Fairleigh Dickinson a couple games ago. And Purdue is just a better all-around team. I feel like this over-under is a little too low too. But Purdue, when they're on, can score with anyone. They're 11th in the country in offensive rating. They can still shoot behind the three-point line as well as anyone. And it's hard as hell, I know, to lay points on the road with Purdue. I mean, it's hard to bet them at home giving points in general now. But this is more going against Minnesota. Minnesota gave up 90 to Michigan State and 82 to Indiana. They let them shoot lights out. Purdue can do that as well. And I know Purdue is weak defensively, but I find it hard to see how Minnesota is going to score that much. Minnesota hasn't played anybody. I know Purdue is god-awful at the rim. It's one thing that Minnesota is actually good at. But there's no way I'm just betting a Minnesota team. I think Coppin Wren is going to eat this whole game. Let's not forget, Minnesota has covered one spread this year. That against the spread is wrong on the screen, but I think they're 1-10-1 or something. Yeah, and that was against Oral Roberts, the first game to start the season. So although Purdue isn't an amazing team, they're better on both ends of the court. I trust them to cover 5 points. Yeah, I don't. Minnesota. Like, I mean, I don't. You remember last year? I know Kyle remembers. Minnesota was a cover machine. They were like 25-5. Yeah, complete opposite this year. They're like 1-11. I'm not trusting Minnesota.
I'm actually going to hop off. The Georgia game's about to start, and I plan to have the whole website and app revamped done by Monday. That's my plan. It's a lot of work for me in the next few days, but that's my goal, so I'm trying to stick to that. So the spreadsheets and the notifications is what people want back. People like, if you guys remember the old Sauce Network app, whenever me, Toast, or Scoop, or Prop Beaver post a bet, you got a notification to your phone. So I'm working on getting that back, and that should, I'm hoping Monday, but it's a lot of work, and me and ChatGPT have been fighting, so...
Lucky the NFL slate is miserable, so that's good.
Yeah, that's there's no college football. Well, just a couple bowl games this weekend, and the NFL slate is just a light one. I mean, I'm not going to spend 30 hours going through this slate like I would on a normal one. It's just there's not much to unpack here. So yeah, everyone, hit me up in the Discord if you need me. Let's go. Georgia Notre Dame under. That's what I need. Riley Leonard overpass and rush yards too. I added if you saw the video. Later, guys.
I'm not going to lie. I can't wait to watch the 30 for 30 with Sauce's relationship with ChatGPT. It's going to be electric. Absolutely electric. Anyway, as far as this Minnesota Purdue game goes, I agree with Scoop. It's probably a little bit too low. Minnesota's absolutely terrible. They haven't played anybody, and everybody wants to – I mean, most people see Purdue, and they're like, oh, they keep on losing games. That's because they played like the 8th hardest schedule in the country. I mean, look at Purdue, who they've played. Auburn, Marquette, NC State, Mississippi, Penn State, Maryland, Texas A&M, Auburn. I mean, they finally had a game against Toledo at home where they against a terrible team, and they actually waxed that team. But I just here's my thing. I don't want to lay 5 points with both of these teams that they're going to run at a super slow pace. Neither one of these teams can hit free throws very well at all. And I actually think that Minnesota actually matches up well against them. I think that Dawson Garcia can probably take care of TCR if Trey Kaufman ran or whatever you want to call him. I think that's going to be actually a decent matchup. Dawson Garcia has a couple inches on him, so maybe he can hold him in check. But again, I just think that Purdue is just a little bit too unpredictable for me to lay multiple possessions on the road in a Big Ten game. As bad as Minnesota has been, they're still 109 in KenPom. That's 15 spots better than Toledo, and all the other games that Purdue has played, like Texas A&M, Corpus Christi, Northern Kentucky, and whatnot. They've smashed those teams. So I would assume that Purdue wins this game going away. But at the same time, I just can't put my money on it. They also haven't really played well on the road. Now, one of those games was Marquette, the other one Penn State. So is Minnesota those teams? No. But at the same time, I just have to see it from Purdue before I actually believe it. So that I would agree with the under as well. I don't think we're going to see a whole bunch of points, or I think this game's going to be slow, a typical Big Ten basketball game for sure. So, but with that being said, there's no way in hell I can bet Minnesota. So I just want to make that very clear. So next game on the board, Rutgers, Indiana. Man, talk about a freaking coin flip. I really want to bet Rutgers here, Scoop. I know that you can't bet this, but did you take a look at this game by chance?
Yeah. I mean, as a Rutgers fan, I'm definitely disappointed in Rutgers. The only season we get two dominant players, the rest of the team is garbage, and they can't play defense, something Peichel preaches. But they're usually in the top 40 or so in defensive rating. They're barely above 100 right now. This team did look good last game against Columbia, but it's Columbia. They also just lost to Princeton. They barely squeaked by.
Let's just say that. How'd they look against Princeton?
They barely squeaked by Seton Hall. They lost to Kennesaw State. The one thing with Rutgers, except that Ohio State loss, all their games were very competitive. If I had to choose something, I would take Rutgers, I guess, kind of as a homer bet. Trust me, I don't put a lot of stock in this team right now, but Indiana has struggled against good offenses, and Rutgers attacks the rim well with Bailey and Harper. Again, pretty much the whole bulk of their offense. But Indiana has terrible rim protection. They're outside the top 250. So obviously Harper and Bailey attack the rim well. Again, no one else on Rutgers scares you much. No one else averages above 8 points on this offense. So I do like the fact that both of these are fast-paced teams. Rutgers played Bama and Texas A&M both tough. They could have won both of those games. 2 games that came down to the wire. I'm not sure if Ballo's playing for Indiana. I think he was questionable.
He should be.
So that sucks.
As long as he didn't go to the bar last night, because the only reason he didn't play is because he was going to the bar the night before. So as long as he didn't go to the bar tonight, he should be playing. So we'll see.
He's a monster down low. I mean, if he's out, that's going to help Bailey down low for sure. I would take Rutgers reluctantly, but there's no way I would even touch this game because, I mean, the only thing I'm banking on is Rutgers having a great offensive game, and they've played every game tough except that Ohio State game. So.
Yeah, I will say that I don't know. I don't really know what to think of Rutgers right now. I think obviously the talent's there, and my mind tells me to trust Peichel. But again, it's very similar to that game with Purdue that we talked about. It's just really hard for me to bet this Rutgers team with what I've seen so far. And Scoop is right. I mean, if you take a look at how Rutgers has played, I mean, all their games are close. I mean, even the game we've talked about multiple times on this show against Kennesaw State that weird Sunday, that's a 2-point game. Then the Notre Dame game's a 1-point game. Alabama, a 5-point game. Texas A&M, a 4-point game. Ohio State, they finally got throttled. Penn State, a 4-point game. Seton Hall, a 3-point game. Princeton, a 1-point game. And then they actually killed Columbia. So I tend to believe that Rutgers keeps this game close, but both these teams played at like a top 40 pace as well. They both are 2 of the biggest teams in the country. The thing that worries me a little bit about Indiana and covering this number is the fact that they can't shoot 3 balls at all. Not that Rutgers is some really good team defending the 3 ball at all, but when you're an Indiana team that doesn't really hold on to the ball a lot, has a little bit of a turnover issue, can't hit their threes, and really depends on that 2-point offense, it makes me feel like Peichel should have something ready for that. Not to mention that, like Sauce talked about, or I'm sorry, Scoop talked about, Harper and Bailey, 2 of the best talents in the nation. Defensively, I think they're only going to continue to get better. Obviously, they're not going to be playing a whole bunch inside against guys like Ballo and whatnot, but at the same time, I think that's going to be a cohesive effort from Rutgers. I really wanted to take Rutgers plus 5.5, but I just can't seem to get this team right. And I do feel like this is probably a decent spot for Indiana, being at home for the last few games, and you have Rutgers coming off a home game on the break. It's a small lean to Rutgers, but I didn't bet it. But it's one of these games where I feel like you have to watch to see what Indiana does, because Indiana is a team that played a somewhat decent schedule, but at number 124 in the country. But I can pick a lot of holes in that country. First and foremost, Louisville. They get a lot of points as far as strength of schedule against that Louisville team. They got throttled by Louisville. I don't really think that Louisville's that good. I know that they just beat North Carolina yesterday.
Who also aren't that good.
Is North Carolina good? No, they're not. I'm just going to say that right now. They have a really good guard play, and everybody else is absolutely dog shit. Indiana also played Gonzaga, who's not very good and can't cover numbers right now. I honestly think there's something wrong in the Gonzaga program. We'll get to that another day. But that's not really an impressive game to me. And they have Gonzaga at 7 in KenPom, which is going to really throw your strength of schedule up. I just don't put a lot of stock in that. And the other game was Nebraska. All those games that we just talked about, Indiana wasn't competitive in any of them. So, again, it's really hard for me to lay points with this Indiana team against a team like Rutgers, but at the same time, both of these teams have so many question marks for me. If I had to make a bet, it would be Rutgers plus 5.5 for sure. I think it's came down a little bit, but regardless. Ducks, Illini. This is I guess I would say this is kind of the game of the night for me. I don't know about anybody else, but I don't know if there's a better game. Maybe the Penn State Northwestern game, but this has got to be the bet of the night. Do you have a bet on this one, Scoop?
I have the under in this game. Dana Altman's going to lead this Oregon team, where the football team has failed, to the promised land. This run is continuing from last year's Pac-12 tournament. I think they have a legit shot at winning the Big Ten this year. I think Oregon's size here is going to give them a bit much for Illinois. Illinois is a great team. They had a nice win so far against Arkansas, Missouri, and Wisconsin, if you think those teams are good. Both of these teams, though, are really great defensively. So I'm on the under here for sure. I would take Oregon on a side, but I do really like the under here as low as it is. Both teams, like I said, really tough defense. Illinois likes to push, but I think Oregon will be able to shut them down more than other teams. This will be the toughest defense Illinois has faced so far. And even though still with Illinois, their defense is great as well. They hold teams at 37% from the field, 26% from 3, both top 10 in the nation. Oregon on their defense, they're only letting people shoot 39% from the field, 28% from 3. The last 6 games, they haven't given up more than 73 points, and that was a loss to UCLA. I think it's going to be hard looks on either side of the ball. And I don't see a lot of offensive rebounds happening in this game overall. And then plus Illinois is traveling out west. This is only their second true road game. The only other game was a loss to Northwestern where they only put up 66 points. So I just see this as a defensive battle for both sides. I like both of their defenses a lot. I think it's going to be hard to get some baskets in this one.
Yeah, I've been kind of going back and forth on this one. My gut tells me to take Illinois with the points here. I can't do it personally because, like Scoop talked about, they've only played one true road game, which was against Northwestern. They ended up losing that game. And now as their second true road game, they got to travel across the country and play this Oregon team. Not that I put too much stock into the Oregon home court advantage, but at the same time, it's really hard for me to think that Illinois is just going to come in here and play bad. I mean, the size advantage alone for Illinois should be huge. I know that this Illinois team doesn't force a lot of turnovers, but I mean, they're 6th in the nation in height. And I mean, across the board, I mean, 6'6", 6'2", 7'1", 6'8", 6'7", 6'9", 6'10". I mean, everywhere you look on this floor, you have guys that are not only large, but they're very athletic too. And that's one thing that Oregon has been able to do. But at the same time, I feel like Oregon is going to be one of those. Oregon's one of those teams with Dana Altman that can do multiple things defensively. They can play you man, they can play you zone, they trap very well. But that's something that Illinois has shown that they can handle. That Illinois can play a zone offense. Illinois also has multiple guys that can score. They don't rely on just one guy. We've talked about that multiple times on the show. Jack Akunis, I know I butcher his name. I do not care. Boswell, Ivicic, or however you say his name, and Will Riley. Again, I know I'm butchering these names. I don't care. The point is that all 4 of those guys tend to have the ball in their hand at crucial parts of the game. So there's not one guy that you can really focus on. Is for Illinois, and I think that just might be a little bit too much here. I agree with Scoop. I would lean under as well. I think that total is a little bit high, considering that both these teams play at a decent pace. The only thing that would worry me about that is if this game is close and we start seeing some fouls late in this game, and both these teams are extremely good at shooting at the free throw line. So maybe then we start seeing some points there. But I played Oregon and somebody. Who did I say play? Oregon. And that's going to piss me off. Oh, Oregon and Maryland, as I played in a moneyline parlay last night for like really small. But if I'm being honest with you guys, the more and more I look at this, the more I feel like I should have just bet Illinois with the points. So I think that Oregon's going to be a popular play here today because you have Illinois not only playing their second road game, traveling across the country, all that stuff. I think that's a little bit baked into this line. I think that Illinois is just a little bit better of a basketball team. I think they have more weapons. So I would lean the points with Illinois. But again, I didn't bet it. I probably should have, though. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Alrighty, folks. We'll see you tomorrow. Do you guys still do the midnight streams, or I guess since Andy's out of commission, it's been
Andy died. So I just want to say, Longwood.
Can't even be joking about that these days. Jesus Christ, dude's actually out of commission. But yeah, we'll see you guys tomorrow back on the stream, and yeah, that's it. Stay goated. Pray for Austin Reeves, and yeah,
and pray for Andy.
And pray for Andy.
I also lost another bet, so just pray for me because Longwood just
and pray for Toast. Pray for the Dark Cloud.
Pray for Longwood.
Absolute joke.
Pray for Longwood.
How do you lose the second half by 10 points to Presbyterian? Like, are you kidding me?